Inception is real, and it's happening to you right now. In the movie Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio and his team infiltrate people's dreams to plant ideas in their unconscious minds. They go deep. Dreams, within dreams, all to slip one single thought past a person's defenses. And the whole time, the audience is on the edge of their seat thinking, what if someone could really do that? Well, someone already is doing that, and they don't need to be in your dream to do it. Let's start with what the movie gets right. The core idea that you can plant a suggestion in someone's unconscious mind and it will grow into a belief they think is their own is real. Thompson J. Hudson wrote about this in his book, The Law of Psychic Phenomena. He showed that the unconscious mind is powerful, but it has one fatal flaw. It can't tell the difference between a suggestion you gave yourself and one planted by someone else. It just absorbs whatever it is given and runs with it. Hudson called it perfectly amenable to control by suggestion. This becomes dangerous because your unconscious mind doesn't do inductive reasoning. In other words, it can't evaluate whether a premise is true or false. It doesn't ask, is this real? It just accepts whatever it is given and builds from there. So a lie from an algorithm gets treated exactly the same as a truth you discovered yourself. If you feed it excellence, you get excellence. If you feed it garbage, you get garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. So the mechanism in the movie, which is planting an idea that the target believes is their own, is accurate. Where the movie goes wrong is the setting. In Inception, you have to sedate someone and hook them up to a machine that syncs their brain activity so multiple minds can share the same dream state. In reality, you don't need a briefcase full of drugs and IV lines. Inception is most effective when you're awake. Why? Because when you're awake, you're constantly being bombarded by suggestions from everywhere. All sorts of media are trying to grab your attention. For example, think about what's happening when you scroll social media. Your conscious mind is active, but it's overwhelmed. You're processing images, text, video, notifications, comments, ads, all at the same time. Your conscious mind has limited bandwidth. It can only critically evaluate so much at once. And while it's busy juggling all that stimulation, suggestions are slipping right past it into your unconscious. You don't notice them landing because your gatekeeper is so distracted. Or for a quick experiment, turn on the news for 5 minutes. What happens? You have numerous anchors talking to you, a ticker running across the bottom, headlines flashing, live updates in the corner, split screens with 4 people arguing at once. This is by design. They throw all this information at you at the same time because flooding your conscious mind is how you bypass it. While your attention is split between all that stimulus, there are suggestions and narratives that slide directly into your unconscious mind without being examined. That's Inception. It happens every time you watch the news and every time you scroll your phone. It even happens when you walk into CVS to grab a drink or a birthday card. You're standing in the aisle and the loudspeaker is running commercials telling you that most people your age are at risk for this condition or that disease. And before you even realize it, your unconscious is filing that away. You didn't go in there to think about your health, but now you are, and somebody paid for that to happen. Reality, the physical world, everything we see and touch is the public dream. It's a collectively generated shared experience produced by all minds together. When you're awake, you're participating in the public dream. When you're asleep, you withdraw into your private dream, which is your personal unconscious, your own inner world that nobody else can consciously access. That means we are dreaming all the time. But even when you're asleep and dreaming privately, your unconscious mind never disconnects from the public dream. It can't. Your body is still in the physical world. Your unconscious is still scanning the environment. That's why you can wake up from a sound in the middle of the night. Your unconscious heard it even though your consciousness was checked out. The connection to the collective never breaks. So your private dream is nested inside of the public dream. It's not completely separate. That means you can never leave, which means Inception, the planting of suggestions in your unconscious, is possible in every state of existence. Awake, asleep, it doesn't matter. Your unconscious mind is always receiving. The only thing that changes is how strong your filter is. When you're awake, your conscious mind provides some filtering, though not much when it is being deliberately overloaded. When you're asleep, the filter is basically off. And this is where it flips from the movie. In Inception, the characters go to sleep to enter the dangerous dream where ideas get planted. They wake up to escape. In reality, sleep is the safest place you can be. And I know that sounds contradictory because we've talked about it on this channel before, and Hudson himself said the unconscious mind is at its most powerful and suggestible during sleep. That's true, but here's the key. A suggestible mind still needs someone or something to give it the suggestion. And in your private dream, who's there? Nobody. There is no algorithm, news anchor, or notifications, unless of course you fall asleep with the TV on, or news on, or phone playing something, which you should never do. Now someone who's read Hudson might push back here and say, wait, didn't he show that one person can send suggestions to another person while they sleep? And yes, he did. Hudson demonstrated that through focused intention and strong personal rapport, one mind can convey therapeutic suggestions to another during natural sleep. He showed people could heal others this way. But look at what that requires. It requires a specific individual with a deep personal connection to you, deliberately concentrating their will on your mind, often right before their own sleep. That's a sniper rifle. One person, one target, intense focus, real connection. The algorithms, the news networks, the social media platforms, those are shotguns. They spray suggestions at billions of people and hope enough of them stick. They don't know you. They're not lying in bed at night concentrating on planting an idea in your head specifically. They don't have the personal rapport that Hudson's work requires. So yes, the unconscious is most suggestible during sleep. But the threats we're talking about, the ones doing the most damage to the most people, are broadcast systems that can only reach you while you're awake and consuming their content. Your private dream is the one place their weapons don't work. So your unconscious is wide open, yes, but the room is empty. The only content it has to work with is whatever you brought in with you before you closed your eyes. That's why the moments before sleep are so important. That's the door. Once the door closes, you're alone with whatever you let in last. The dangerous dream isn't the one you enter when you fall asleep. It's the one you've been in all day, the public dream, the waking world, where your unconscious is being fed suggestions every second whether you notice them or not. The movie got it backwards. You don't go to sleep to enter the dangerous dream. You go to sleep to escape it. But most people destroy that sanctuary without even realizing it. The moments right before you fall asleep and right after you wake up, the hypnagogic and hypnopompic states, are the most vulnerable transition points you experience every day. Your conscious filter is either shutting down for the night or hasn't fully booted up yet, but you're still connected to the outside world. The door to your private dream is open, and you're still standing in the hallway of the public one. Hudson wrote that the last conscious thoughts before sleep act as powerful suggestions that shape the entire content of your dreams. Whatever you were consuming right before you closed your eyes can become the raw material your unconscious builds with all night long. And what are most people doing in those moments? They are doom scrolling, checking notifications, watching the news, and consuming whatever the algorithm decides to show them. And then they fall asleep, and their unconscious mind takes all of that, the fear, the outrage, the ads, that garbage, and weaves it into their private dream. They carry the public dream's content into the one space that was supposed to be theirs alone. They're voluntarily contaminating their own sanctuary. And the first thing most people do when they wake up, well, pretty much the same thing. They roll over, grab their phone, check notifications, messages, and social media before they've even fully emerged from sleep. And what is the algorithm broadcasting? Nothing but junk. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. They all run on the same principle. Control the algorithm, control the suggestions, control what enters a billion unconscious minds. It's funny because a lot of people think there's some dark mystical force out there, or some evil demons or spirits or entities trying to hack their dreams to infiltrate their consciousness while they sleep. And that belief is the ultimate decoy. That's because while people are praying for protection from imaginary dream invaders, the real inception is coming through the device on their nightstand, the thing they spend hundreds of dollars on and voluntarily place inches from their head while they sleep. This is a technological threat, not a mystical one. Your private dream is private. No external mind is sitting inside your head, consciously operating your thoughts like a puppet. That would violate the fundamental nature of the individual monad. Your mind is sovereign, but suggestions can absolutely reach you. And once a suggestion lands in your unconscious mind, it doesn't wear a name tag telling you where it came from. It just becomes a part of your mental landscape. You think it's your own thought, and you think you arrived at that belief on your own. That's what makes Inception so effective. The best planted ideas feel like your own ideas. Now, this isn't about always being paranoid. I don't want you to be afraid of the world or try to hide from it. This is about knowing the game that is being played on your mind so you can stop being a pawn in it. There's a difference between walking through life terrified that everyone is trying to control you and walking through life aware enough to recognize when something is trying to slip past your defenses. One is fear, the other is power. Never forget, the public dream, physical reality, is collectively generated by all minds, not just by elites or billionaires or those taking advantage of everyone. Every mind is both an architect and an inhabitant of the shared dream. So we are all building it together whether we know it or not. The elites are like squatters who figured out where the control room is. The dream belongs to all of us, but they just learned how to manipulate the inputs that shape how we experience it. They didn't build the house. They just changed the locks and started rearranging the furniture while everyone else was sleepwalking through the hallways. Understanding this is important because if they were the sole builders of the dream, then you're helpless. You're living in someone else's creation and there's no way out. That's what they want you to believe. But if we built the dream collectively and they just hijacked the controls, then taking those controls back is possible. The dream is ours. It always was. We just forgot we were the ones dreaming it. Now think for a second about what that means for Inception at scale. Every mind is a transceiver. It's always transmitting and receiving. When a billion people scroll the same algorithm and absorb the same suggestions, those suggestions don't just affect a billion individual minds. They shift the texture of the collective dream itself. The public dream is shaped by what the majority of minds are thinking, feeling, and believing. When you flood a billion unconscious minds with fear, division, consumption, and distractions, you're rewriting the shared reality that all of us inhabit. That's Inception at the civilizational level, and it's a business model the elites use to keep their position at the top while we fight for scraps. But the same mechanism works in reverse. If garbage suggestions degrade the collective dream, then conscious, deliberate minds feeding themselves philosophy, mathematics, and reason start upgrading it. Every mind that breaks free of the garbage inputs becomes a transmitter of a different signal into the collective. Remember, you're a broadcaster and a receiver. Every thought you carry, belief you hold, and piece of content you absorb and internalize, you're transmitting that into the collective unconscious around the clock. There is no off switch. You're either broadcasting the signal they programmed into you, or you're broadcasting your own. So the person who fills their mind with algorithmic garbage before sleep is contributing that signal to the collective dream, making the shared reality worse for everyone around them. And the person who fills their mind with ideas that actually challenge and elevate is quietly upgrading the collective dream from the inside. When churches demand you pray at specific times, attend services weekly, and fill your mind with scripture before bed, they are programming your signal in the collective signal. Of course, social media is the same game. Flood the unconscious minds, shape the collective dream, and maintain control of the experience that everyone shares. In fact, you're seeing them combine together now, like I mentioned in my example earlier, which makes it even more dangerous. Now, if you saw the movie Inception, you likely remember the ending. Cobb spins the top to check whether he is in a dream or reality. If it falls, he is awake. But if it keeps spinning, he's still dreaming. And the movie cuts to black before you see it fall. Everyone debates whether the top falls or not. But from where we are standing, the answer is obvious. The top never falls. That's because there is nothing to wake up to. There's no state of not dreaming. There's only the private and the public dream, and you're always in one of them. The top keeps spinning. Reality itself is a dream, a shared, collective, mathematically structured dream that all minds are generating together. Are you a lucid dreamer or a passive one? Are you conscious enough within the dream to direct it, or are you just absorbing whatever content the dream serves up? Most people are passive dreamers in both states, asleep and awake. They are not directing anything, they are just consuming. But a lucid dreamer doesn't just survive the public dream, they actively shape it. They choose what to consume, what to reject, and what to transmit back to the collective. And they do the same thing in their private dream. They take control of the liminal moments, feed their unconscious minds deliberately, and use sleep as a space for growth instead of a dumping ground for whatever the algorithm served them that day. A lucid dreamer is sovereign in both worlds. That's what separates them from everyone else sleepwalking through a reality they helped build but forgot they had any influence over. And think about what that means for lucid dreaming while you're asleep. If inception is the act of planting ideas in the unconscious mind, and lucid dreaming is the state where your consciousness can direct your unconscious, then lucid dreaming is self-inception. You're the architect, the subject, and the dreamer all in one. No machine, no sedative, no team of extractors. Just you, alone in your private dream, with the ability to consciously plant whatever idea you want into the most powerful part of your own mind. So if you could implant any idea in your own unconscious mind tonight, what would it be?